Well, aloha kakahiaka, everyone. Today is April 20th, and you are live, unless you're watching this in a recorded version, but you are live with the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Peter Kay. And if, in fact, you're listening to this on a recorded basis, you can scroll forward about 5 minutes or so, about 4 minutes or so, to get to where the real show. We're going to do the warm-up section right now, and I'm here with my friends today, Dylan Nonaka, who's with us from the Big Island. How's it, Dylan? And we got Scott Startzman, who's with us from Oahu. How's it, Scott? Good to see you, buddy. Normally, Heidi is normally here with us. Heidi Dollinger is normally here with us from Maui, but she's busy today because the real estate market's kind of crazy. So she's not off, but she's out and working. So let's kind of warm up our microphones, get the Facebook Ohana kind of started over here. I see 10 of us already, and Jim, of course, is first man here as usual, and he's got it right. Aloha kakahiaka, everyone. Hey Jim, how's it, buddy? So Dylan, man, what's I see you've now got 4 signs behind you. I see stay hungry and stay humble. I see positivity. What's the Aloha shirt, and what's the one what are the other 2 behind you?
Oh, the other 2 are, one is work smarter, not harder, and the other one, it says never quit. Right, the guy stops at the last pull, and the pot of gold's behind it. So, just revamp the home office a little bit, and so the lighting would be a little bit better. And then I had all my posters all over the place, so I put them up behind. So
it's looking good, man. Hey, let me get some of our other Ohana members here. Christopher, hey Christopher, welcome back, buddy. Happy Aloha Friday. Jeremy Shemp is with us. Jeremy, give us the update. Are you in Hawaii yet? Did you get your gig as a
appraiser?
Appraiser. Thank you. I was going to say estimator, appraiser. And Mark Whitehill, Aloha Mark. Mark is a current member of the Islander Ohana. He's in the current cohort. So we're having a really good time with Mark and his family and his wonderful son. Hey guys, so wonderful. So Scott, looking good, man. The weather looks phenomenal out on your side today.
Yeah, it's perfect. So it's looking great. I just got back from this past weekend from a trip to the Big Island for my birthday and spent some time with the family over there. Dylan and I weren't able to catch up, but we will on one of these trips, and played some golf at the Mauna Lani. Got to relax a little bit and then go check out the seafood bar. I went to the seafood bar, my family's restaurant, for my birthday, and it's a good time. Relaxing.
So is the seafood bar still is the seafood? I'm assuming it's the seafood bar is still up and running.
It is, in fact. When we were I tried to get restaurant reservations like 3 weeks in advance and couldn't. And then I called Canoe House down at the Mauna Lani to see if we could get in. And they said, our earliest reservation is mid-May. And I know the hotels over there, they're like 70%, 50 to 70% occupancy, but they're going to go up to almost 100%. And you can't get into any place. The restaurant reservations are full, and the lines are sometimes an hour long right now to be able to get into restaurants. We had a real difficult time being able to get into places.
We're in this funky stage right now where tourism is only half as what it is, or whatever, it's only at 40% or whatever the number is. It's significantly down. But because the restaurants haven't quite opened up yet, or the inventory hasn't quite opened up yet, there's like shortages of everything, like the rental cars that we talked about in our last show. So Jeremy says not until June 10th. All right, man, it's right around the corner, buddy. Jeremy, if you're going to be on Oahu, we've got a Islander. Oh no, but you're not a member of the Islander. We're going to have an Islander Ohana meetup in June. So we're looking forward to that. And Joyce is here with us. Hey, Joyce, aloha. Welcome back, Joyce. Good to see you as usual. Dylan, I can't wait for us now that we're all fully vaccinated, or at least impervious to the COVID vaccine, or impervious to the COVID virus, to have our first kind of get together. We need to either do it on Oahu when Dylan's going to be on, because Dylan, you come to Oahu occasionally too, right? Every so often.
Well, I used to pretty regularly because one of my Army Reserve platoons is there, so I would go and visit them at least every other month or so. But we haven't been traveling recently, so it's going to start happening soon.
Okay, there will be a day when we will all be on the same island at the same time, and we are definitely going to be doing that get together. Maybe we'll do like a special buddy show from around the table or something like that. Hey, wow, Jim's getting his Hawaiian there. Ha'ole lahanau, Scott. Wow, all right. Hey, Jim's getting it down. All right. Jim, give us the update. You were looking you're looking at some Kakako condos in our last exciting episode. I'm curious to kind of see where. So give us the update. Hey, it's 9 o'clock already. Time flies. All right, let's get going with the reason why we are all here. So welcome everybody. Glad that you're all here. I'm your host Peter K, and let's go into some. We're going to cover a bunch of things today, as we usually do. We're going to start with some news. These are the latest updates. I was able to pull a couple of things that are going on. Looks like we're just right around the corner of herd immunity. So it looks like they're saying 8 weeks or so away from herd immunity, which would be like absolutely fantastic. The quote here is from the lieutenant governor, which is like the vice governor here, Josh Green, who said, we're almost at 1.2 million shots. And when we get to 2 million shots, we will essentially have taken care of 1 million people. And that should be herd immunity. So 1.2 million shots, so again, you got to have two shots for the vaccination, but we're almost there. So that's kind of cool. I can't wait for that to be happening. Vaccine passport snag. I thought you all want to kind of know about that. So there's been a little bit of a hang up there on the vaccine passport. So the story was, for the past few shows, they've been talking about creating a vaccine passport in the state of Hawaii, meaning that a method for you to show that you've been vaccinated, and if you have, then you can travel inter-island without having to be tested with a negative test or go into quarantine. So if you have one of these vaccine passports, you kind of go through the airport, no problem. Now, that's moving forward. However, the snag is it only works if you've been vaccinated in the state of Hawaii. So it looks like right now, until things change, because apparently there's no national standard for vaccine passports. So because of that, it's going to work in Hawaii, primarily for Hawaii residents. So what this kind of is, it's sort of a local Hawaii resident pass to travel inter-island. Assuming you've been vaccinated here locally, you can move on. So it's a little bit of a snag. I was kind of excited about that. I thought that it was going to be applying for everybody, but apparently because there's no national standard yet, we have yet been marked with the number of the beast. So until that happens, it's going to be just a Hawaii thing only. Nation's lowest COVID rate. We're really stoked about that. Actually, pretty cool. Hawaii has gone through some serious lockdowns. It's been hardcore. It's it hasn't destroyed the economy, but the economy's taken a really, really big hit. But the plus side is we've got the nation's lowest COVID-19 case rate, according to the CDC data. So it looks like when this report was written, which is the 22nd of April, we had 39 cases per 100,000, which was the lowest in the country. So kind of cool about that. Locals only weekend. So it looks like there's some interesting backlash that's happening right now with locals meaning, in this case, meaning Hawaii residents. There's been some backlash now that tourism is returning. We used to kind of have the beaches all to ourselves, and we kind of got spoiled and we kind of got used to it, right? There was nobody at the beach. Beach is completely empty, all to ourselves. Parking was available. Everything was available. No problem, enjoying ourselves. Now all the tourists are coming back, and we're getting upset about that. So there was actually a protest on Maui. There was a peaceful protest on Maui on the beach where, Hawaii residents were like, hey man, we're, give back the beach to local people, that kind of a thing. So it looks like there's been some proposals. One of them is going to be that they're talking about, this has been proposed, not passed. They're talking about having some things where resources would be reserved for Hawaii residents on the weekends. Certain beaches, certain parks would be Hawaii state of Hawaii residents only for the weekends. We'll see what happens with that. Finally, we're putting some sand. Sand's going back in Waikiki Beach. There's some big construction equipment. They're replenishing the beach kind of one section at a time. They're taking sand that's offshore, tons and thousands of tons of sand offshore, throwing it on a container, moving the container back, dumping the sand back on the beach. And looks like we're going to have a kind of a brand new Waikiki Beach. You could look there. I've got something, zoom in on this real quick so you can see it. So you look at our case rate is looking good. Our fatalities are down. It looks like this thing is kind of just about licked. Hopefully that's the case. And of course, the weather is perfect. It's always perfect. We're varying more than, just look at that low temperature there of 70 degrees. 70 degrees for the next 7 days straight. That's a 0 degree variance in the lowest temperature and a 1 degree variance in the upper temperature. I love that part about Hawaii. All right, let's kind of go around and let's get some news update. Let me do a quick catch up from everybody over here first. Spencer, NYC in the house. Hope the weather you're in springtime over there. So hopefully the weather in New York City is nice. Give us a quick update. Joanne is a member of the Islander Ohana. Happy Aloha Friday and welcome back, Joanne. Great to see you. So, Dylan, what's been any non-real estate news that you want to kind of report on the Big Island, or some anecdotal stories that you've been catching?
So I wanted to comment on the vaccine passports, and to the contrary, there are some states that are going to outlaw it, right, and say you absolutely cannot impose that upon us, or we're not going to do it within the state. So interesting, the different persuasions that are out there and opinions on that. So. Yeah.
Let me guess, it's going to split along blue and red state lines. I'll take a wild guess. Call me crazy. Wild speculation here. It's going to blue and red state lines. Great. Hey, Scott, any update, any news updates, anything you want to share that's occurred on Oahu that's not real estate related over the past 2 weeks?
I mean, that the barge for the sand is definitely not a sexy item when you're out on Waikiki Beach and you look out there and this big ugly barge out in the middle of the water, pumping sand up onto the barge, and then they filter it and then pump it onto the beach. So it's definitely not pretty looking. The other thing is that the other comment about going to the Big Island, my biggest snafu there was not the COVID line going through for that portion. That went pretty smooth. It was when I got to the rental car portion where the line was out the door into the parking lot. It took over an hour just to get my rental car. And I finally asked the guy when I got up there, and I was like, what's going on? And they had merged 3 of the rental car companies into one building because they're doing the renovations on the others. And it just, even when I dropped my car off, it was the same line out the door. I'm like, they haven't figured this out yet, like how to correct it. So
there's been, Scott, at our last show, rental cars on the Big Island weren't even available, but the ones that you had to go to Turo for $300 a day. What did you end up paying for your rental car?
Oh, mine was cheap. I did it about a month and a half ago, I think. It was only a couple of $100 for the 4 days that I was there. It was like $89 a day. So I happened to get it in a good window.
You're lucky. You got planning. Planning is the name of the game there. You did a lot of planning.
Yep.
I guess you knew your birthday. I guess you knew when your birthday was going to be coming around. So that was a pretty easy day to plan for. I was going to say you should just kind of turn around and kind of re-rent it. Too bad you couldn't like sublease the car. You could have made a couple $100 a day. So speaking of, hey Dylan, did you ever do the Turo thing, or you're just too busy? You're just too busy closing deals in real estate. Now, it doesn't make any sense. Don't forget to unmute.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Mainly because I got some friends that need to use it. So I got a real estate client that bought something that is here and needs it for a week. So they're using it right now. And then I got some other friends coming in early next month. And so I'm going to let them borrow it. And yeah, so to me, it's more satisfying. It's making, helping folks out and let them use it when they need it. And,
Hey, who would have thought? What a great service for buy your house from Dylan and get to use his car while you wait for the rental car agency. So as we were talking earlier, I think what's going on with the industry, or with the visitor industry overall, it's in this really weird place right now where the industry is still significantly down from the normal part of the year. I think we're like 40%. We're operating at 40%, so we're like 60% down. So it's not anywhere near where it needs to be. But everything's shut down, and all those things that are shut down haven't quite opened up yet. So not all the restaurants are open. The cars they're not, the rental cars are not here because they got shipped off because they all got sold. So there's this weird place where, like Scott was saying, about a month ago or so, we had a heck of a time trying to find a restaurant. We had some friends over, friends and family from the mainland, and we had a heck of a time trying to find a place. So it's this weird thing going on now where we have a lack of inventory because there's too much demand, but nowhere near where it used to be. Go ahead.
This is anecdotal, but I kind of feel like what I'm seeing is that, and this is true, like kind of in real estate, but then I know a lot of people that when they were laid off from their service industry job or somewhere in the tourism sector, people are creative, right? They're not going to sit around and do anything. So if you're a hustler, you're going to go out there and figure out a way. And so people started like little pop-up businesses selling soap and other handmade things. People went into driving Uber instead and could make just as much money. A lot of people actually went into real estate. So I got several new agents that work with me that came from, being a waitress or working at a hotel that are doing okay and, don't plan to go back. So I think it's going to be a challenge for the service industry is to recruit those experienced people back when they've gone and kind of moved on and done something else. And in every industry, your best people, your most capable people are going to be good and capable no matter what they do in life. And so, they've left those jobs and found something else to do. And I think it's going to take some time to train those folks back up and get that level of service and, that number of employees back to where it was.
Yeah, you can't just switch the industry off and then back on again. You just can't say, okay, we're going to shut the entire industry down, for about 12 months. And okay, we're back open again, everybody. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. That's a really good point. And plus, you're being incentivized through government money to not go back to work. So that's another problem as well.
And that was the other piece of that, is that unemployment piece. Some people, they just sat around and did nothing and, enjoyed the gravy train. But other people use that as kind of a transitional point to start up a small business or get into real estate or do something else where you didn't have to take that big risk of losing your income right away when you get a new business wrapped up. And so a lot of people took advantage of that and are now have moved on from whatever they were doing because they found something better to do.
Scott, you were going to add something.
Yeah, there was a front page article in the West Hawaii Today, which is the Big Island newspaper, when I was over there, and I was talking to Dave over at the seafood bar, and I could see it when I was in the restaurants, the lack of staffing and just, the lines and stuff. And one of the biggest things the article said is that they're having a hard time finding workers now, partly because they're incentivized by the unemployment side or all the benefits they're getting from the government side. And it's like, hey, why do I want to go back to work when I'm either getting the same money or close to it, not working right now? So they're having a difficult time being able to find the employees to come back and staff those restaurants, hotels, etc.
I think we're in for a much different world that we're going to be coming back to, I think, than we think. So Joyce says you also get Costco shopping from Dylan. Dylan, is that I think that's just between you and Auntie Joyce, kind of a special service, or are you doing like a Costco shopping service for your real estate customers too, Dylan? What's up with that?
No, so during the COVID lockdown, when there was absolute quarantines, there was no exemption from it. If I had folks either returning back from the mainland or coming in to buy and doing a month-long trip or something like that, I had some one of my agents' daughters would go and take the list from them and shop from Costco or wherever they wanted, and then stock their fridge and their pantry. So when they got here, they didn't have to worry about going out and shopping, and they were good for 2 weeks. So yes, we can make that happen.
Dude, you have to. Okay, Dylan, I'm telling you right now, you have to fire your PR agent. Because that would have been like a great story. That would have been a great story to have when you would have gotten great coverage. Fire your PR agent, whoever the hell they are. They're doing a crappy job of doing PR. So Joyce, thanks, Joyce. Our tenant is concierge at the resort here. She couldn't even get a reservation for friends of mine who rented a home on the resort. Yeah, it is. Thank you, Joyce, for the validation. It is a crazy moment. And then here's something fun. Here's a completely off-topic thing. This is from Zagi Zelig. I'm sure I mispronounced that last name, Zagi, but welcome. It says, hi there, my name is Sunny. My question, how can I get any help to immigrate to Hawaii? I'm from Israel. Well, welcome from Israel. First of all, welcome for Israel. I went to Jerusalem on a pilgrimage several years ago. It was an amazing experience. The key is it's not about Hawaii, it's about the U.S. So, Zagi, you got to go through immigration. That's the U.S. State Department. That's a good place to start. It's once you can immigrate to the U.S., you can go to any state in the U.S., including Hawaii. So your journey to Hawaii, in terms of immigrating to Hawaii, starts with going through immigration. And immigration is incredibly complex. It depends on a lot of different variables. And I'm sure there's a show out there somewhere that talks about immigration, but talk about incompetence with integration with immigration, I would be number one. All right, thank you, Zagi, for your question. Let's roll here. We're going to talk about the real estate market update. So I want my good friends here, Dylan from the Big Island and Scott from Oahu, to give us a quick an update. What's been going on with the real estate market? It's been bananas forever. What's different in the past 2 weeks, Dylan?
Nothing really. If anything, it's getting worse. Yesterday I looked. There was
wait. Worse? How could it? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess worse is a relative term, but there was 0 houses yesterday under 600,000, and there were only 2 under 700,000 in Kona yesterday, and those 2 were like 680 and 690, so they were like barely under 700,000. So inventory is completely gone pretty much. I mean, there's like 14 homes under $1 million total, And a lot of them, the only reason they're still in the market is those are those sellers that have grossly overpriced their house and they just won't sell, because if they've been on the market more than 7 days, something's wrong with the price. Because most things that are priced right are selling at or above list price. But yeah, I'm thinking there's going to be a slowdown in the next couple of months, like in terms of units sold, but that's going to be just because there's not anything to buy. It's not because of the market slowing down. It's just that there's no more inventory. So those sales are going to have to constrain at some point.
This is completely crazy. Hey, a real question. So Twila, how can I find a friend that lives in Hawaii? You've got them right here. You got 3 friends right now that live in Hawaii. You found the place. So welcome, Twila. Scott, how crazy bananas is Dylan? That is actually nuts. That's actually, there's like zero inventory. I've never heard of that ever.
And we're regularly hearing people, offering 50, 60, 70,000 over asking price and not getting it. I mean, people are like, regularly offering over 50,000 of list price and then still losing out. So it's a very rough time. I feel very bad for buyers right now because, you got a ton of competition. If you don't have cash, it's super hard to compete right now.
Jesus. Scott, what's going on in Oahu?
Yeah, same thing. It hasn't gotten any better. It's gotten worse. We, last show and probably the last 2 shows, Dylan and I have kind of talked about number of active listings that are available. And we were totally restricted on the Oahu housing side. I think it was like 463 active homes last 2 weeks ago. And now we're at 422. So we lost another like 40 some homes of active inventory, and the number in escrow is 778. So there's way more in escrow than there are active. Whereas normally this would be like 4 times the number of active homes on the market than what we're at right now. So yeah, it's still crazy. I mean, and I actually got 3 escrows while I was on vacation on the Big Island, and all 3 of them had no inspection period, basically no contingencies, other than maybe a financing contingency we remove and everything. And that's how we were able to get into escrow, well over asking and almost no contingencies. The interesting thing, I did some research this time on the luxury market, or 2 to 4 million range, just to kind of see where it's been. And then once you get above 4 million, it's another segment. But even the 2 to 4 million range prior to COVID, I should say the 7 months, from April on to October before we opened up the state, there were, there were 57 sales in that 2 to 4 million range. And since the state opened up till now, there's been more than double. It was 121 sales in the 2 to 4 million range. There's less than 6 months of inventory, which usually that area carries, or that price range carries, about 13 to 18 months of inventory. So even in the 2 to 4 million range, it's smoking hot. And the 4 million and up range above that is tight as well. It's not as much, so it starts to thin out above that, but it's tight all around from top to bottom of our market.
So I think the question that's come up in my mind is that what's going on is, it seems that sellers are not coming forward, right? Sellers are not stepping forward and putting their homes on the market, which is what's causing the whole supply and demand kind of upset thing. So I guess the question is, number one is like, what drove sellers to hold back? I'm going to guess a couple things, COVID, et cetera. So there's some things that are sort of holding them back. And then I guess the follow-on question is, what's it going to take for them to start to resume what they were doing? People that were selling, let's say someone who was considering selling, let's say a month before COVID strikes, they're like, okay, I'm not going to, because I don't know what's going to happen. There's insecurity, blah, blah, blah. When is that going to come back to normal, where we're going to have like normal levels of transactions going on, normal levels of houses going on the market? Dylan.
So I just put a video out this morning about this. So the 3
Perfect.
things that I think that are going to potentially create more supply are all dependent on government policy at this point. So the 3 major things that I think are constraining supplies are all COVID related. The first one is people don't want to move, right? If you were planning to sell and move, planning to sell and upgrade, or maybe just move somewhere else in the country, you're sitting tight. It's complicated to do that with all the travel restrictions, and it's just uncomfortable to do that right now. So there's a disincentive to sell and move, so you're just holding on tight. So that's number one. Number 2 is people with investment properties who may, normally cycle through and sell every 10 years or so. they have tenants in their properties right now, and there's an eviction moratorium. So that makes getting your tenant out complicated, especially if the tenant is not paying rent, because they're really protected with the eviction moratorium due to COVID right now. So you don't have those second home owners or investment property owners putting their homes on the market. So that's further constraining that segment of inventory. And then the third one is with the moratorium on foreclosures and the forbearance policy. That is letting people kind of stay in their homes, even if they are financially strained right now or distressed. And so I don't think that's going to lead to a flood of foreclosures. People are kind of thinking that's going to happen, or they're hoping that's going to happen. I mean, not hoping, but they're thinking that's going to be something because they saw that happen the last time the market was hot. But the difference this time is if you bought your house in the last 10 years, you have a significant amount of equity built up in that house. I mean, 20, 30% potentially, maybe more. And even though you are distressed and you're behind on your mortgage, when the forbearance ends and that policy ends, you may be so far behind on your mortgage, you say, you know what, I can't catch up, or I'm still, unemployed or whatever it is. Those people are going to put those homes on the market. They're not going to be foreclosures. They're just going to be, distressed sales. Distressed sales because they're behind on their mortgage, but they're going to be able to pay off their mortgage, pay off what they own on their forbearance, and walk away with some equity. So that should loosen up some supply also, but that's not going to happen until the government changes all of these policies, because right now the government is constraining supply, in my opinion.
Interesting. Scott, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that government portion is a big component. Big component just in the sense that if you're in trouble right now, you're not moving. You don't have to. So why do anything? Why would you sell and then force yourself to go rent? So you're going to sit in place. But I've talked with the banks here, and they've all said that the number of people in forbearance right now is not that significant. They only figure about 50% of those that are in there are legitimately in there. And even if they go through that process, it's going to take multiple years for the banks to even get down the road of, basically forcing that person to sell or foreclose on them. So even the inventory that would come from that is going to be spread out. I actually have a feeling that affordability, in other words, the prices going up and interest rates moving up, is going to slow us down before that inventory kind of takes effect. So I don't see a whole lot of change that's going to happen anytime soon.
So this is going to be this is an interesting one. We don't see any change that's going to be coming anytime soon. And again, to Dylan's point, government policy is going to make a lot of changes. Don't forget, there's also potential government policy of like spending like there's nobody's business, which is going to create all kinds of inflation, which is going to further drive the price up. It's going to be interesting to kind of watch. I tell you one thing, I'm holding on to my real estate. I'm not moving. It's just too unstable.
Well, and that's the thing too, is, with interest rates dropping where they are, I helped a client cash out, refinance, put a bigger new loan on their home. They took out $150,000 out of the equity of their home, and their payment dropped $100 a month. So you have a ton of people sitting on capital who have that exact same thought that you are. You want to be in hard assets or in assets in general when inflation kicks in. So now you got all this big push on the buy side to move that money into some place where that's invested.
Do not tell your client to watch Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey would have just been blowing smoke right now. His smoke would have been popping out of his ears for increasing debt. I've been kind of watching Dave. I've been kind of getting go ahead, Dylan.
So one more thing is kind of geeky, right? Maybe we can have some slides on the next show. But buyers right now who are a little bit discouraged about buying because of the way things are, and they don't want to overpay. Nobody is, if you look at all of the big financial analysts and Freddie Mac and everybody, nobody's projecting a decrease in real estate prices over the next 3 years. Like, they're all projecting 3 to 5% appreciation continuing over the next 3 years. And so if you couple that with potentially interest rates being a point higher 3 years from now, if you wait, you potentially could be paying, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 more over the course of that, the price of that home, where you could just buy it now for $20,000 over asking price or something, right? So if you do the financial analysis of it, and again, there's no crystal ball, we can't guarantee what's going to happen in the future, but people that are feeling like, I shouldn't overpay now, if you wait and interest rates go up and then prices continue to appreciate, you would have underpaid now, right? The best time to plant a tree was yesterday, right? The best time to buy real estate was 6 months ago. So don't feel like, it's a if you want a home and you want to be in a home, like you still gotta be in the market and fighting for it, because it's not going to change anytime soon.
So thank you, Dylan. Now it's going to be even crazier. You've just given us good reasons to be even more crazier than we've been. You've given us good reasons to bid up even higher over asking price than we used to, because now you got to buy the darn thing. Well, hey, that's great advice though, but you're pretty good at it. So Twilla, well, hello there, my new friend. See, Twilla, you got some friends, man. You are with friends. Twilla, by the way, Twilla, you should subscribe to the newsletter. In the links in the description, there's a link to connect. You want to get on the newsletter, because that's part of the extended Ohana. And if Hawaii is right for you, if you're serious about Hawaii, you can get into the Islander Ohana, which is a tighter group that is looking at coming to Hawaii in the best possible way. So yeah, great stuff, guys. Really appreciate it. Hey, I want to take this minute right here to do essentially some sort of a quick station break. So look, gang, we've got 39 of you that are online right now. Send us your questions. The show goes quick. So if there's anything you want to know, put it in the comments right now. We'll try to take your questions first. We got a bunch of questions lined up that we got slides ready for that we'll present, but we're going to give you priority. You're here now. You're live. You showed up. You win. You get to have your questions answered first. And if you haven't already, make sure, like I was just telling Twilla here, Twilla, get into the Ohana. There's a link in the description. Click on the link, get on the newsletter. That's when we send out our notifications. We send out our invites. There's videos coming on, videos on real estate, videos about living in Hawaii, all kinds of things. This is what you want to do. All right. So Michael, yeah. So first of all, a couple of shout outs over here. Hey, JJ, how's it, Jay? JJ, welcome. Aloha to you. Tom, I put your thing up earlier, but didn't give you a shout out back. Welcome back, Tom. Good to see you again, buddy. Welcome, a returning thing. And Michael, okay, guys. So is it ever time not to buy real estate in Hawaii? It's a great question. Thank you, Michael. When would you not? Okay, real estate agents whose job is to sell real estate. Tell us why. When is not a good time to buy real estate in Hawaii? Scott, you go first.
Yeah, actually, there's plenty of people I tell them you shouldn't buy. I've only ever had one client over my almost 20 years that's ever gotten in trouble from buying, and it's because they didn't listen to me. Yeah, I mean, if you're on a short in and out window, here for 2 or 3 years maybe, and you're in an up cycle that's going crazy, it might not be a good time. Or if you have, if you get into the debt to income ratio portions, if you're, taking a lot of debt and low down to be able to get into a property, and, the financial situation isn't in the right place, or the job is a little bit insecure and things like that, it might not be a good time to buy. If you're stable and you're wanting to put down roots and you can afford to be there for a while and not have to sell, then for me, I don't ever try to time the market. I'm always, whenever I finish this Kapahulu project, I'm looking to get right back into the market. I'm in the market right now. So yeah, there are cases. There's definitely times, and there's been plenty of people I've told them when we've analyzed their situation, you shouldn't buy. I don't recommend it. This is highly risky.
So Dylan, Scott's saying that basically if you're here for a short term, not a good idea. That's one of the reasons. There's others, I'm sure, but one of the big ones, if you're here for short term, if you're not for a long term hold, don't buy. What other kind of conditions have you given people to say, you know what, you probably shouldn't buy right now?
Definitely, if this is happening right now. I've told several people, or we've made offers on homes, and I'm like, this is the max you should pay. It's probably going to go over that, but I don't want to see you pay, $50,000 over in a neighborhood where it may take you 10 years to make that 50,000 back, right? Because right now that's kind of happening where, I think we talked about this last show, where you have outsiders that are, just chomping at the bit to buy something, and they're not super educated about our neighborhoods are very different. They can be very close together, but they're very different. And you don't want to pay $700,000 or $800,000 in a neighborhood that home may never be worth that, in the long run, where you could buy a similar home for $800,000 in a neighborhood very, half mile away, but that one could be $1 million home in a couple of years. So you really want to make sure you're doing the research and getting some good background and getting local knowledge, because that's where, I tell people I won't let you overpay. Like if I think if it's insane, like you can go make the offer to somebody else, because I don't want to get you in a situation where you're unhappy, 5 years from now or 10 years from now, because that doesn't do anything long run for my business.
So, Michael, if that's not a squared up set of answers, I don't know what is, guys. That was great, excellent. That was really, really fantastic.
And you know, I use and the conventional wisdom doesn't always work, but I've been telling people, using myself as an example, you got to take your own advice, right? I bought the house I'm sitting in April of last year, right? I went under contract in February. The world shut down in March. The conventional wisdom ones, you know, there's blood in the streets. It's a terrible time to do anything, and I just stuck to my guns. I said, this is a good situation. This is where I want to be, and you know, we ended up closing on it. Did work all of last year, and I probably in 12 months made $200,000 or $300,000 in equity. Like, so it's like, you know, it's never whenever the conventional wisdom is telling you not to do it, that's not necessarily the case, right? I mean, it depends on your personal situation and what you can handle and what makes sense at that time.
Well, when everybody zigs, you got to zag, right? That's the name of the game. If you know, but you got to know you're zigging and you're zagging. Bernice agrees. Bernice, thank you, Bernice, for giving the shout out to Michael who asked that great question. Good information. Yeah, gang, this is what the show is all about. It's a lot more. Frankly, really, it's a lot more fun for you folks to throw the questions live. It kind of throws these guys off, which is kind of fun. It doesn't throw them off, but it gives them it gives you, frankly, what it does. Here's the beauty. Look, we got all these prepared questions that you folks have sent in, and we've got them ready to go, and they're going to go through. But it's a lot more fun to get your questions now live because you're getting the quick gut reaction, right? That's what makes this fun and what makes the show, I'd like to believe, entertaining. Okay, quick one from Justin. I've been monitoring the condotel market on Oahu for a few months. Inventory quickly dried up recently, yet have yet to see any listing in Turtle Bay condotels, or are those just more rare? Scott, what's going on with Turtle Bay?
Yeah, two things. Bill 89 stopped all short-term vacation rentals on the North Shore. That 95% of them were illegal. So that killed that. And then because the resort zone, Turtle Bay is a resort zone, there's only like 2 complexes in there with limited number of units that would be available for short-term vacation rentals. And so not only do you have very limited options, but you got now anybody that wanted to buy a short-term vacation rental on Oahu can't buy it anywhere else but in those 2 complexes on the North Shore. So, you know, way higher demand now because of Bill 89, all pinpointed at Turtle Bay and very limited inventory.
You're muted, Peter.
Thank you. You know, someone's gonna have to. We need to have some kind of a universal signal or something that kind of says, "Hey, you're muted," right? That's like a big thing. You know, how do you? Yeah, it's something, right? It's like, you're muted. Peter works. That works just fine. So, thank you, Scott. That's a great question to Justin.
Hey, another example of a gift from the government, right? Every talk about just bumping the equity up in all those units. Just magically, right?
Bill 89, so, bam! You know, a vacation.
All those owners are making political contributions to the city council. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Okay, so from Joan, I hope I get that right. So Joan or Joanne, I'm going to say Joan Valentine. Aloha from Colorado. Aloha, Joan. How is the rental market right now? And we had an in-depth show about the rental market. So Scott, can you just give a really how about we do Dylan first? Dylan, what's the rental market like on Oahu? What's the difficulty in me? Joan didn't say short or long-term rental, so let's just say a long-term rental market. What's the long-term rental market like right now on the Big Island?
It's always tough. It's tough now, but it always is.
It's always been tough.
We always have a housing shortage. There's no new inventory, and when you're looking at rentals, the thing I tell everybody is you can't look long. Your window can't be long, right? I mean, you got to look in the next 30 to 60 days because rentals just come available kind of every 30 to 60 days. So if you're planning to come here 6 months, you're looking for rentals now, it's almost useless because you're not going to be able to find anything until you're like in that 60 to 30 day window when tenants are moving out and then rental managers are re-advertising those properties. So unless you have some special inside deal or inside track on something, it's really hard to long-term plan for rentals.
Get yourself an Airbnb for a couple of weeks or 30 days. And then once you get here, then start looking around. Scott, what's the rental market like on Oahu right now?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, even my client that has 7 vacation rental units, they're all filled now. So we've lost a lot of that short-term vacation rental option here where you can kind of, where there are no tourists and you can maybe do a longer-term rental with them. That's starting to dry up. And so back when the state opened up, the rental inventory started to shrink and the vacancy rate started to shrink.
Yeah. It's a crazy market, folks. It is a wild and woolly market. I mean, there's some amazing, stable instability here. By stable instability, I mean, it's all flattened out. A government the government intervention is at an all-time sort of not an all-time high, but the government intervention is high, which is creating a lot of uncertainty, which is making everybody freeze. Right? There's a lot of incentives to not move. That's not a good thing. Having a brittle economy is not good. Joyce is commenting back to you, Dylan, and you found a great house with your built-in gardeners with the kids. Yeah, there you go. So that's nice. It's kind of cool having Joyce, a member of our Ohana here. Obviously, Joyce, Dylan, you refer to her as Auntie Joyce, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, she's Auntie Joyce.
Auntie Joyce, excellent. Hey, great. So thanks. So here's Patrick. Patrick Geithner, aloha from Raleigh, North Carolina. Aloha, Patrick. My question is based from the info earlier of folks already in Hawaii and switching jobs from whatever they were doing, starting in real estate. I'm not sure what that question is about. Patrick, if you could maybe restate that, because I'm not catching what that question is.
I think I kind of get what he's talking about.
Oh,
so
okay.
Let me clarify.
Right,
so what had happened, what I saw happen in the last kind of 6 months or so.
Right. He's talking to you about your point. Go ahead.
It is because people were laid off and they were on unemployment. Thought it was a great time to go do their real estate classes, take the test, and then get started in a business where you don't have any guaranteed income, where you got unemployment coming in. And so there was a big influx into the real estate industry because it gave people that window of kind of financial stability where they could take the time to do the classes, do the test, and then get started. Where in this business, you're at least a lot of times 6 months out before you start seeing any type of real income. And so it's a hard business to get started in, because if you're not focused on it, you don't generate business. If you're working part-time or full-time and trying to get started, you're not really generating any business on this side. So it's kind of a catch-22. And if not, you need to just quit your job and go full blast. But then it could be 6 months before you get any real revenue.
But those COVID checks, paid for that.
It's subsidized. Yeah, it subsidized the starting of real estate careers,
which is great. Like, again, all these unintended wonderful consequences. Patrick clarified, coming to Oahu or Big Island, would it be a mistake for someone getting into real estate in the near future, 3 to 6 months, including studying, licensure, et cetera? Mahalo. Well, I mean, there's always room for one more, Patrick, and it depends on you. Really, it depends on what you're willing to go through. It depends on you're willing to do. Dylan, you've got all kinds of signs behind you that talk about all kinds of hard work and work ethic and all that kinds of stuff. So, if Patrick were to walk into your office and say, "Hey, Dylan, would it be a mistake for me to get into real estate?" How would you respond?
I don't know, because I don't know you, right? So I deal with new real estate agents all the time. And
that's it right there, right? That's it right there.
And so here's the industry standard, right? Is for every 10 people that get a real estate license, 9 of them are out of the business in the first 2 years. So that's not because of the business. That's because of the people not being able to operate in the business. And it's a hard business. There's no boss. There are no working hours. You have to have self-discipline. It is soul crushing every single day. So if you don't have a positive mindset and you can't get over that and just move on from challenges, it's super hard to operate in. So it really depends on you and how you're built. I think, there's lots of people who come here, fresh off the boat and are successful because they have it, and they're going to be successful wherever they go. And there's plenty of people that are from here, they get into the business and fail because they just don't have the internal drive and fortitude to make it happen. So
look, Scott's an example. Scott moved here, quote, fresh off the boat 22 years ago. Although you have family here, Scott, you started from scratch, and now you're. I think, didn't you get an award? You got an award last month, right? There you go. See, he got the award, top sales guy for like second month in a row, or something like that, right, Scott?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So it really, and Dylan, that success failure rate that you mentioned, it's not different at all from starting your own business. Probably actually a little bit better than starting your own business. I think if you start your own business, 5% make it, right? Only 5% kind of do it, but that's what it takes. All right, great. We got another question here from Wesley. Wesley, are renovation costs increasing at same rates as home prices? For example, renovating a bathroom or replacing our roof. Thank you. Scott, you do a lot of kind of you've been doing a lot of smiling like a guy who does renovation. Scott, how do you respond to Wesley's question?
Yeah, you see all these wounds over here. Most of it's from the construction industry.
Show us the wounds, Scott. Show us the wounds. Bring them up.
Most of them are mental. No,
mental from that 90% failure rate that you've been avoiding all your life.
From both. Right. I'm a
All
glutton
right.
for punishment, I guess.
That's right. We have to be.
There's actually two interesting things going on right now. For one, housing prices are going crazy. And, construction people, they pay attention to that when they're going to bid out projects and whatnot. They know what the value of the property is, so they're going to do it accordingly. Construction work in general is ridiculously expensive. So naturally costs are going to cost more because people are busy. They don't need the business necessarily. So the prices are going to go up. The other component is if you looked at material costs like lumber and plywood and stuff, it's gone through the roof. It's tripled or quadrupled in price since the pandemic. So material costs are even going up. And being able to get access to my appliance package was 4 to 5 months out from order. So yeah, everything is starting to cost more. It's busier. People are busier, so they're starting to charge more on the labor side as well. So all around, yep, it's more expensive.
Peter, mute.
Thank you. Thanks. A great answer, Scott. And Patrick circled back. Sorry, mahalo, Dylan. Sorry, my question wasn't written too well. Part of the question was sent before I completed writing. Thank you for figuring out my question. Yeah, that was great psychic work on your part, Dylan. Looks like this show is becoming an attraction for agents, because here's another one. JJ says, I'm moving to Oahu in June. I'm in the process of getting my Hawaii salesperson's license. Are there any brokers you can suggest who would be good for a brand new agent to work under? Okay, so that's Oahu. Scott, at the risk of conflict of interest disclosure, Scott, who would you recommend that JJ talk to? As far as for a brand new realtor, brand new thing on Oahu, first time.
There was a couple of companies. It's probably best to contact me directly. I actually have a real issue with our industry right now, so I could explain the pros and cons. Part of my cons issue is that I don't think there is enough training, and I don't think there's enough hand-holding, helping in the beginning to begin with, and that's why you have 80% of the agents that do 0 to 1 transaction a year. And if you really want to be successful, it's not just about the training program that most of these companies provide. They provide training, and it's almost good luck. And I have a real issue with that from our industry standpoint. But that's a separate topic, and I'd be happy to chat about it.
Separate topic. Get a hold of Scott. But JJ, I'm going to tell you, because I've known Scott. Scott, you and I go back almost 20 years, I think. I've known Scott for a long time. And JJ, if you're not ready to go beast mode, don't waste Scott's time. Let's tell you right now. If you're not ready to go beast mode, don't waste Scott's time. Just kind of look up a couple, do some Google searches and kind of apply to whatever. But if you're ready to go beast mode, Scott's the guy to go talk to. All right, I think that's cleared out all of the questions. Why don't we do this? The timing wise, it's been a great show. Everybody loved the questions. That's really been fabulous. I think I got everybody. If I didn't get your question, make sure you pop it in. Why don't we go to our Diamonds and Deals section of the show? So Diamonds and Deals is where we've got Dylan and Scott and Heidi, who's not here with us today. She's from Maui. Put together some properties that we consider aspirational or awesome things, properties that are diamonds or deals. And we're gonna get the guys to kind of show us what they've got here. So let's get this one here. All right, Scott, awesome. Look at this. This is a 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath Kaka'ako condo listed for 5.13. Jim, this got your name on it. You're looking for Kaka'ako condos, buddy. This is the one. Scott, what are we looking at here?
This is why I picked this out. This one's specifically for Jim. This is a 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath. Waiea is the condo complex, which is in Ward Village. Ward Village is a 60-acre master plan development by Howard Hughes Corporation. Waiea has a tower, and then it has the townhouse side. The townhouse side is almost like a home. That's what this is a townhouse unit. 2,700 square feet with almost a 2,000 square foot lanai with its own private pool. 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath for $5.13 million. How can you go wrong with this? I mean, the amenities on this project are absolutely stunning. And if you look at this tower versus most of the other towers, they have about half the number of units. So if you want privacy, you want that concierge service, this is the building to be in. What's the HOA on that, Scott? Yeah, let me look real quick. It's $3,500 a month.
Nice.
Is it really?
Yeah, $3,500.
Okay, so geek speak. HOA means homeowners association. These are the maintenance fees, and Scott
Yeah.
says 3,500. So 3,500 a month in maintenance fees,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. And you pull in, you have your own 2-car garage that you pull into. You enter that door, you're right into your unit. So it's almost like a single family home in a condo.
Wow. You know, Scott, as you were talking that through, I was going to ask you. So you know, Scott, that's a nice view of the shared pool area. Like, you know, that's a nice view of the shared pool. And as you're talking it through, you're like, no, that's a
Not shared.
private pool for the unit. And those two openings are three. That's part. Those three, like 2 or 3 openings there. It looks like, you know, 1 or 2 bedrooms or whatever. Those are wide open spots that open up to the pool from the unit. That is the unit itself, right?
Yep. Pocket sliders. You know, this place is done to the top. You know, it's got all the detailed features that you're going to want.
It's a $5 million condo. Even in Hawaii, that's a lot of money. That's a very high end. Go, Dylan.
Yeah. And I just did some mental math, right? So 3,500 is actually a deal for a $5 million condo, because if you take off a couple of zeros, right, you can't buy a $500,000 condo and have a $350 maintenance fee. You're never going to find that, pretty much. So really, ratio wise, it's a pretty good deal. 3,500 a month.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, if you bust it out price per square foot, it's in line. It's not egregious by any means.
Jim, hurry up, man. On this, but before this gets, Jim, you want to get your offer in on this one. Looking forward to it. I would love to see this one. I would love to see a Islander Ohana member or an extended Ohana member get one of these properties. We'd have a huge party about that. Huge party.
That's what we should do. Have one at a unit. Have a party at the unit.
Now, dude, now you're talking. So, Jim, you need to buy this unit. And then you're going to we'll host a party for you at this unit as part of the closing process. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. All right, let's get to the next one here. Dylan, you know, this is what I love about this part of the show, the Diamonds and Deals. We get this this unbelievably amazing contrast, right? Oh, by the way, so see, Michael, this is why these guys sell real estate. This is how they do it, right? Leave it to Dylan to rationalize a 3,500 homeowners association fee. And here's what's great about it. When you listen to Dylan, it makes complete sense. I was like, yeah, do the math. It's about right.
I tell my kids all the time, the greatest superpower is speaking with confidence, because people believe you no matter what, no matter how untrue it is. People believe you. If you say with conviction and confidence, people believe you.
That's it, man. That's and it, you know, and have some facts. It helps to have some facts and some rationalizations behind you as well. But absolutely, you must speak with confidence. Otherwise, don't bother speaking at all. Scott, looks like we got a buyer. Mark, buddy, let's do it, man. Party at Mark's house. That's what we're doing now. This is aspirational properties, right? That's what the show's about aspirational properties. All right, so let's move to the other side. That's right. Mark's got it right. Party at my place. Mark, we're doing it, buddy. We're doing it. So here's what's great about this. Here's the exact sort of talk about polar opposites, right? Another world. Here we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Kealakekua, $599. And this is a beautiful property. Dylan, tell us what we're looking at.
Yeah, just other end of the spectrum, but just, this is what you get for a pretty, regular, I don't want to say regular, but just, this is a standard home on the Kona side. It's a little bit South Kona, close to where I live, but this is a deal right now. Like I said earlier, there are only 3 homes under 700,000. This is the only one under 600,000 on the market right now. So this will go extremely quick. Came on the market yesterday. Just a perfect home, great layout. Upstairs has the kitchen and a big, huge living room, and then downstairs has the bedrooms downstairs, and another little kind of separate living area, den area downstairs. It's got ocean views, big, huge lanai you can see there. So perfect, 1,200 foot elevation, so it's cool all the time. You don't need air conditioning, and great community, close to elementary school, banks, grocery stores, everything.
So this is this home's got like 2 levels. What is it, like a bedroom and bathroom, the living room and kitchen on the bottom floor, and then the 2 bedrooms and plus 2 bedrooms upstairs? How's that laid out?
No,
just kind of curious.
It's an interesting layout because all of the bedrooms are downstairs. So there's 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and then like a den kind of living area. And then upstairs is just a huge living room, 1 bathroom, and then the kitchen, and then the lanai. So it's a interesting layout, but very functional.
So that's what we're looking like on the bottom right photos. That's the upstairs with that huge living room. Correct. With the deck. Obviously the deck on the second level and the kitchen behind. Oh, that is interesting. That is
Yeah,
interesting.
great yard around it. Just 3 homes on this little cul-de-sac off the highway. So
Beautifully
really,
manicured yard.
really
Yeah.
private. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. I'm sure it'll be sold by the time the show's over. If
We're collecting offers till Monday, so you got the weekend.
Okay. All right, Michael, you guys better hurry up, man. This is going to be the moment here. All right. So we're gonna let's go to a few slides that we got. We got a few minutes left. We got 10 minutes to go in the show. We'll take a few questions worth. So here's a fun one that I've got that I want to kind of have Dylan kind of get the ball rolling on it here. And this is terrified of spiders. So James from Indiana said, I want to move to Hawaii and eventually buy a house there, but I'm terrified of spiders. I'm asking, what would be the best place to move to in Hawaii where there are no big spiders or no spiders at all? I can deal with the very with the very flea or dime size one, but the big ones and the dangerous ones, I'd rather not see. Please help. Thanks. Well, James, I'll give you a quick one here. If you don't want to have like big giant spiders, buy the $5 million condo that Scott's selling. That'll help. But I got a quick. I want to hear your big spider story. I remember one night, I go into my bedroom, and we have a single family home on ground level, and I go into my bedroom, and there's this giant cane spider that's bigger than my hand. It's bigger than my hand. Right, it's bigger than my hand, and it's on the wall. First time I saw a spider that was that big, I was like, "What the heck was that?" Grabbed the broom, knocked it down, and took care of it. So, Dylan, what do you say to James, who is terrified of spiders?
Well, the first thing is you have nothing to be afraid of because we don't have any poisonous spiders here. So that's the first kind of factual thing. The second thing is kind of got to get over it because Hawaii has bugs. Like, there's all the good things about Hawaii. People that don't like bugs. I mean, unless you're like tenting your house every month, it's pretty hard to keep them out of your house. You're gonna have bugs. But like you said, top story of a condo is probably your best bet. Or if you live in South Kona, like in Ocean View, where it's like lava fields, there's not as many bugs because it's dry and there isn't a lot of dirt and stuff like that. Not a lot of foliage. So that may be your best bet if you want to just live in a regular house, not a condo. But you can't avoid bugs in Hawaii.
Can't avoid bugs in Hawaii, especially like flying cockroaches. Scott, what do you do to avoid? What's the spiders like around where you're living, or what do you tell clients like James, who is terrified of spiders?
Yeah, if you don't want bugs, you probably got to move to Arizona or something where it's really arid, because bugs and spiders and the whole 9 yards. It's here. I don't ever really deal with. I never get them in my condo or anything. So in a condo, you're probably going to be a little safer. But even the cockroaches are almost the size of your hand, and they fly. They can be pretty nuts and intimidating. But Hawaii is also neat because I can go out hiking. I don't have to worry about snakes. I don't have to worry about poisonous, insects and things, or any mountain lion or anything else attacking you. You can go without care and thought. I will tell you a story. When I was living on the Big Island, my back was killing me. For some reason, I had the mattress on the floor, and I went to sleep, and I was at a house, and I was sleeping on the floor, and I woke up, and I was like, ow, what is that? It stung me. And then it did it again, and I finally got up, and it was a centipede about the size of my hand that happened to somehow get into my bed and stung me twice. Oh, man, I felt violated because I was asleep. I got attacked without having any preparation.
Attack while you're attacked by centipedes while sleeping. Joyce is chiming in. I also hate spiders, but never been an issue here in Holualoa. Never been an issue in Holualoa. I think centipedes are scarier. The B-52 flying roaches are bigger than spiders. Yeah, flying roaches, man. I mean, I got a flying roach story I'm going to save in a minute. And Joyce also commented, Dylan, on that house. The Kealakekua home looks great. Beautiful neighborhood. Telling my husband Chris to offer services as a gardener. There you go. Get Chris. Get Chris. Talk to Dylan. They're gonna need some gardening services. And looks like Jim is like brushing up on his Hawaiian. Hele mai kai, everyone. All right, man. Jim. All right. And that's hela or hele. I'm not too sure, but regardless, Jim, God bless you on learning your making moves to learn your Hawaiian. So okay. So look, let's do a quick diversion here. What's your favorite bug story? So here's my favorite bug story. My favorite bug story is we had my nieces, my brother and my nieces were visiting from the mainland, and this is and I've got two girls, and they were at this time they're all about the same age, and they're all kind of around 8 8-year-old range. So my daughters are used to bugs in Hawaii because they were born and raised here. My nieces aren't used to it. So we're all sitting on big family thing. We're sitting down, we're watching a movie, right? Watch a movie on our big screen TV. And while we're in the middle of the movie, a giant B-52 cockroach walks across the middle of the screen, right in front of everybody. And of course, my nieces start screaming. They start screaming, and so the light goes on, and this roach is walking across that they've never seen before. As the roach is slowly walking across the screen, when we turn on the light, the roach freaks out and opens up its wings and starts flying around. And now now my daughters are starting to scream because the other are starting to scream. So I got four screaming girls running around the house being chased by a flying roach. That is my killer bug story. So Dylan, I want to hear, because you got to have because Big On's got more natural stuff going on. What's your favorite bug story, Dylan?
Oh, my favorite or worst bug story is a centipede story. So this is my second son was just born, maybe like a month or two, and he's in the bed with us, and my wife had felt something like brush across her foot in the bed, and she looked and lifted up the covers and looked, and there was a centipede in the bed. So she of course grabs the baby, jumps out, hits me, wakes me up, says, "Get out of the bed, there's a centipede." And I proceed to start taking the bed apart, and so I take the covers off, take the sheets off, take off all the pillows, and I can't find this centipede. And it's like 1:00 in the morning, and of course we're not going back to sleep until we find this thing, because it's got to be somewhere. And I deconstruct the whole bed, take the mattress off, take the box spring off, and we had picture frames like stacked underneath the bed stored, and I start taking these off one by one, and this thing is on the second to the last picture frame. Like somehow it had gotten down and hid in this picture frame. So I finally found it, and it was like 6 inches long. It was this big, huge centipede in the bed with us. Crazy. So I would be more worried about centipedes than spiders. I mean, because they can actually sting you, and it sucks. So there is a poison. It's not just a bite from teeth, so to speak, that hurts. There's a poisonous element to the. Oh yeah, they do have poison. Yeah.
Yeah. And
they're super hard to kill. That's the thing about centipedes too. I tell people the thing you want to use against centipedes is tongs, because you need to grab them and hold them. Because if you hit them with a shoe or something like that, they'll just like pop up and like they just keep going. It's really hard to kill them. So you kind of have to grab them with something and then cut their head off, or throw them in the toilet and flush them down the toilet or something. But you can't physically. I mean, they're really tough creatures.
They've got that armor. There's like armor around there.
You can't hit them with a newspaper or something. It's not.
That exoskeleton will protect them. All right, Scott, what's your best Hawaii bug story?
Yeah, I had to go teppanyaki on that centipede that got me. And it kept moving. It kept moving around. It was terrible. I actually had a buddy of mine who was over here, and I didn't realize how scared he was of cockroaches. And the cockroaches came into the condo, and it started to fly around, and the lights were on, and he started screaming at the top of his lungs. He jumps up on the couch, and he won't go anywhere near it. I was laughing. I could hardly even deal with the cockroach. I was laughing at him so hard.
Oh man, that's a good. I got to add in one more that just popped in my head about cockroaches. So that we had this one time when my brother was visiting. And we're staying in the same room, so we're sleeping on the same bed, and it's middle of the night, and I'm asleep, and it's one of these things where I'm completely asleep, but I'm somehow conscious, and I feel a cockroach crawling over my body, right? And so I feel the cockroach kind of crawling over my body, and I say, oh wow, kind of in the back of my head, I'm asleep, but I'm somewhat conscious. Oh wow, there's a cockroach. And then a second or two later, I hear, "Oh man, Dad is swearing and everything, cussing and swearing," because the cockroach went over my brother, who was like at that time, new to cockroaches, and it was just kind of hilarious to kind of be like in this weird state where I'm half asleep, half awake, and bam, cockroach kind of crawls across me and ends up on my brother, and my brother goes crazy. So Patrick, tongs, man, grab them with tongs and chop off their head. All right, guys, it's been a great show. Let's zoom to our final close over here. Some closing thoughts. We always have inspirational, aspirational closing thoughts. Why don't we kind of start bottom up? And because I want the Dylanism to go last here. Scott, what's your closing thought for today?
I always go by make your life a masterpiece. You know, do something every day that's special and unique and different, and just makes your life full. Take those times out for the special moments.
Yeah, well said, man. That's make your life full. Take those time out for those special moments. Dylan, what's your closing thought for today?
So my closing thought for just the real estate market right now is go hard or go home, right? There's no pussyfooting around right now. So that's what I'm telling people. You got to be committed, and if you're gonna be in the market, you gotta go hard. You gotta go hard to the hole, because it's a tough spot right now if you're a buyer, but that's okay. Just got to be committed.
This is a time where, like, it's, you know, if you're serious about buying a home, you got to know what you want. Work with someone who knows what they're doing, because you can have confidence in working with a qualified realtor. You want to work with someone like Scott on Oahu, who's been for doing it for 20 years. You want to talk to someone like Dylan on the big end, who's literally born into a real estate family, literally born into it. Second generation realtor. So that's what you want to do. All right, folks. It's been a great show. I really enjoyed all your questions. You guys have been fabulous. I want to wish you all have a great weekend. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And this is Peter K. Aloha.
Hello, everybody.
Aloha.